Telling everybody the good news of Corey LaJoie, and I appreciate that.
She usually gets you there by preaching from across the top.
What's going on, y'all? This is Josh from Team SUPERSHOE, and welcome back to another episode of the Shoe Show. We are not talking running shoes, the Brooks brand shoes. Now we are talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the super shoe of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys on once again. I'm bringing on a fan just like you from Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook, Mr. Derek Nelson. Derek and I chat just the most recent races. We talk about North Wilkesboro, talk about the 600, Gateway, Sonoma, and we watched the highlight reel from the 2021 iRacing video. It was back when there was still some COVID restrictions, and some of these race car drivers, to fill some airtime on FS1 or on Fox, they raced iRacing. And it was quite interesting. They have the announcers and everything still doing it. So, and they previewed the race at that time was just fantasy, the Chicago Street Course. And we're going to watch that and just kind of really just watching it for the layout of the track. If we expect the racing to be as good or better than that race in the iRacing League in 2021. And, we're just going to preview it, react, and hope you guys enjoy. If you guys haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Please share the YouTube stuff to Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can go. We're trying to help the algorithm, show that this show is being watched more and more. And we're trying to make sure that all the Corey LaJoie fans, the message is getting shared to them on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio realm, appreciate y'all, and if you could please like, and if you guys haven't come and hung out with us on Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook, that's where it all started. Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook, it's a group, and we have so much more conversation than just this show. This is kind of just an extension of Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. Let's bring on my buddy Derek and talk about some racing. All right, y'all, we are back and we're hanging out with a buddy from Team SUPERSHOE, Mr. Derek Nelson. Derek, how are you, man?
I am living the dream, man. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Where do you come from?
I currently reside in a little place about 45 minutes north of New Orleans, 45 minutes north outside of Gulfport. So right there in the Gulf Coast.
All right. Well, good, man. Well, thank you for coming on the Shoe Show. And you're a good friend. We've been chatting on the Team SUPERSHOE Facebook group for a little bit now, and kind of wanted to bring you on and get to know you and just talk about some racing. But I know you have kind of a cool story of a hot dog line or hamburger line. Wanted to hear your story about that.
Yeah, it's one of my regrets in life. Brought my son his second race, and it was my brother's first race and my nephew. They said, we want to go to a race. Where are you going to take us? So you got to go to Talladega, man. I mean, if you're going to catch a race, it's got to be Talladega. So I said, I'm going to spoil them, do the whole infield experience. And we're walking around the infield, checking out the cars, the people. And at this point in time, my son and my nephew have had a few drinks, and it's right before the Xfinity race. The beverages, the adult beverages, are right next to the cheeseburger stand. So, national anthem comes on. And of course, take your hats off and do what you're supposed to do as a God-fearing American.
Right.
And as we're going through the process, I noticed this guy that looks a lot like Corey LaJoie. But earlier in the weekend, there was another dude who was not Corey LaJoie that looked spot on. As a matter of fact, I think Corey made him Penny Stacker of the Week in his podcast following Talladega. But after the national anthem, he turns around, he puts his hat on, and holy crap, it's Corey LaJoie, man. And Corey, which like, I usually don't get starstruck, but considering I wasn't expecting it, it's like, holy crap, Corey LaJoie, what are you doing here? I'm just getting a cheeseburger, man. So he was nice enough to stop and take a picture with my son. And my regret is not buying that man a cheeseburger. Should have bought
Oh
him a
man.
cheeseburger. Maybe got a little super shoe signature on the receipt. So
Yeah.
to this, I'm going to just say I still owe him a cheeseburger, and we're going back in October. Maybe I'll make it up to him
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to make it up there in October for at least the kickball classic. I don't know if I'll be able to do the whole week with the race too, but I definitely want to see the kickball and just tour around the shops and do all that fun stuff because Charlotte or Concord can be a lot of fun for NASCAR geeks like us. So, and I know that you recently got to go and do tour of the shops and stuff. Do you have any cool stories from Joyous Seating or Spire or anything like that?
then. I did a lot of shops because I was trying to just totally get as much as I could off the bucket list. Joy Seating and Spire were definitely highlights. I had an in at Spire, so Will, who you did a video with last week,
Yeah.
showed me around a little bit, walked me around a lot of places where I'm not supposed to take pictures, but I had lots of questions, and he was pretty much able to answer almost every question I had. And then we ran into Chaz, who was Spire's interior guy, and he had some interesting stories regarding some Noah Gregson style situations with the interior of the car and
Hmm.
some drivers. And he did not divulge information. Some drivers who didn't make it to the porta potty before the race, and he had to do some cleanup with that. So that
All
was a
right.
highlight. And then, yeah, going to the seat shop, man, running into Big Rand himself, preparing to cut some grass. Had his little, I think it was a zero turn lawnmower up on the lift, checking it out, making sure everything was good to go. And he was nice enough to stop and chat with me and autograph a diecast I had that I've since given to my father as an early Father's Day gift. And yeah, just that shop was actually a highlight. Just all the history of the trophies and past races from Randy and Corey, and some pictures of Corey's grandfather in there. And I think it was an AMC style modified he ran back in the day at Danbury. And before I forget, Mark Donahue's ass, the seat that started it all, that was in there as well. And I'm a big racing buff, so I
Yeah.
go back studying the history of multiple sports and seeing what Mark Donahue did, briefly in Formula One and IndyCar, and of course Trans Am racing, and then stock cars. So that was probably the highlight of the shops. All the shops I went to, that was probably the highlight. And I got to meet Leo as well.
Leo. And who's Leo?
Leo is another member of the family, a little four-legged member of the family, as it were. Um, I've seen him in a couple videos over the past couple years, and he was actually the first one to meet me at the door. So
All right.
we hit it off pretty well.
Nice. Nice. Well, good, man. Well, yeah, I hope to have cool stories like that. Hopefully this year we'll see where savings get me to drive up there, but I'm hoping so. So, but brought you on just to talk about the past few races, highlights, and just kind of debate about a few topics from each race. So, get rolling with that. North Wilkesboro will be the first race, the All Star race. Corey, the heats race, I was actually pretty impressed. They went out with the wet tires, and I was pretty impressed with that. There was a part of the TV Fox showed or FS1 showed a tire that was like 90% bald. It was the treaded tire, and it was 90% bald, and the last little bit had some tread on it. And I have never seen a tire that smoked before. But I guess it's because it's like almost like a softer compound like you're used to seeing on IndyCar. Um, I like to see a little bit of a second groove there. That's pretty cool. And truck race, Larson won with a number 7 Spire. truck. So I'm happy for that. Happy for Bono. All-star race. Unfortunately, Corey did not qualify in after a cool pit crew challenge. I miss pit crew challenges. I've grown up, well, not grown up, but I have had in the past. The only time I went to Charlotte, I got to see they actually had a pit crew challenge. I can't remember what stadium it was in, but it was like back in early 2000s, and they would do them side by side and then push them down the they would have to push them to like a finish line. Man, I love seeing that because I feel like NASCAR likes to focus only on the drivers, but God, there's so much more to the sport than just Corey LaJoie or whoever, the drivers. So Larson won the All-Star race, and good for him. He swept it that weekend. So this subject here I want to touch on. Bubba Wallace, after he finished 5th in the truck race, he was asked about the boos in the stands. He said if it affects him, and he evidently he ended up saying that all the fans are judging a book by its cover. And then I guess after the Cup race, some fans like hacked onto his radio, and I guess he said in an interview that he had his radio was off by then, but they went on there and said, "Go back where you came from."
Can I ask you a quick question about the boos after the end of the truck race?
It's every week. Yeah. How does it make you feel?
Not great.
Okay.
I mean, you did well today.
Thanks.
So it doesn't bother you at all?
I mean, yeah, but it's
Still
sports. It's sports. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be there.
It wasn't on a different level today than any other day?
You're really close to the stage. I mean, that does make a difference. You're closer to the stadium, so closer to the seats. That's part of it, but it's going to be there every weekend.
And it doesn't impact. I mean, what should
I
people?
finished 5th.
The people who do the booing, what should they know about how that impacts you or doesn't?
Hey, as long as you continue to live your life judging a book by its cover, that's who you are. Don't change it up for anybody else. That's the biggest thing. That's fine. I mean, I finished 5th. I got a good payday. I'm good.
You suck and you're not wanted in NASCAR. Where you came from, you asshole.
This show. I make this show to, bring a little bit of, release away from all the stressful things in life, politics, anything like that. So I'm not particularly here to like state what side is right or wrong. Because of course I have an opinion, but what I do want to say is that both sides need to stop, because this can ruin NASCAR real quick. I mean, it'll ruin it for me, because it's embarrassing and it sucks. So hoping we can move on from that. Hoping I can never hear statements from Bubba like that again. Hoping that fans that do things like that will not show back up at the racetrack again. Next race up is the Coke 600. I was bummed out to see Jimmy Johnson wreck. I think he wrecked twice, and that was a bummer. Hamlin versus Elliott. Hamlin ended up wrecking Elliott after, Elliott wrecked Hamlin after they went back and forth a little bit on the racetrack, which resulted in our guy jumping into the 9 car. But during, I guess, the rain delay, I believe it was a rain delay, Bubba got shoved by Eric Almirola. Kind of interesting. It was interesting that nothing ever really came out about that. Like, didn't hear too much follow-ups of it. Corey, he finished 17th, which is, a good day for the Spire 7. And he ended up finishing, he was 19th in points that day. So that was pretty cool. Blaney ended up winning, which, is a good, meaningful win for Ryan Blaney and his winless streak. And also that weekend was the weekend of it was a Monday race because it got rained out, but it was the first weekend in history that the Indy 500 and Coke 600 were won both by the same team of Penske. So pretty cool. So wanted to ask you, man, obviously we already know what happened after the Coke 600 and that Corey jumped into the 9 ride, but did you, your opinion, do you feel as though that wreck of Elliott, do you feel that was a suspendable wreck?
Well, I think after what they did with Bubba, they kind of had to pull a card on that. I honestly, I, I don't know if it was suspendable. I mean, but you know, NASCAR's kind of backed themselves into a corner after what happened with Bubba and Kyle Larson. I think that was suspendable based on Bubba's attitude after he actually wrecked him. Um, Not knowing whether or not he was injured, proceeds to push him around. That was suspendable. You get into the situation between Chase and Denny. NASCAR's backed themselves into a corner. They did what they had to do. It's never good to see another driver hook another driver into the wall like that, especially considering where it is. I think it was kind of a heads up. Hey, look, we're willing to suspend our most popular driver for this. The cars aren't safe. You're seeing that with what's happening with Noah Gragson, what happened last year with Alex Bowman, and what's still going on with Kurt Busch. You've only had not 2 full seasons with this car under your belt. There's no telling what else can happen with a stiffer, more rigid car. So they're doing their job, man. They got to come out there and act like mom and dad and make sure that the kids aren't hurting themselves when you just kind of leave them alone for a little while. So, they do what they had to do. I think it's just you move on and you hope people learn their lesson from it and do like you're supposed to do. Wait till after the race, go down,
Right.
approach the guy after the race, talk it out. Don't take sucker punches. And if you're going to take the Noah route, don't grab a guy. If you're going to go down there and approach a guy and you have intent, do what you got to do.
Yeah. You got to prepare, you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So, yeah, man, I agree. So up next is Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway is what it's called now. They had some brake rotor problems. The 7, not our guy 7, but the Carson Hocevar, the 45 and the 23, they all had brake rotors fail. And Austin Cindric, he right-reared the 3. And it was interesting to see Austin Dillon and also Richard Childress calling out Cindric, saying that he better get suspended. He never did end up getting in, and it didn't, to me, look too malicious. There comes a point where you kind of have to, you have to reel it back a little bit. We can't be suspending everybody that's wrecking people because, I mean, that would as well ruin the sport of, that's, one of the main reasons why I love NASCAR over IndyCar or F1 is because they can be rough, So Kyle Busch ended up winning. And he's got to be the favorite for this championship. Corey went to the 9 car. He hit the wall twice in qualifying. He finished 21st, and it was a bummer. But at the end of the day, he still finished at the same position that the 9 car finished last year. So, and that's would have been a good run for the 7 car if it wasn't for that brake rotor failing too. So I think that also proved a lot of people came on the page and kind of were like, talking about, you guys are sleeping on Spire Motorsports. They would have finished better than that 9 car would have, So quite interesting weekend. And as an admin on the Team SUPERSHOE and you as well, lots of people coming in there and all telling us, how horrible Corey is and all their opinions off of the couch. But wanted to ask you, man, with that weekend in the books, how do you see that changing Corey's outlook, whether it maybe makes him realize how much good he has at Aspire or if it maybe makes him more hungry to go to a bigger team?
Well, I think he definitely got to get a little look behind the curtains to see how much prep and how much money Hendrick has involved in their program. Listening to his podcast, and he's talking about what he saw behind the scenes and what's going on over there. I would like to think that what he's got going on with Spire right now, the way he's growing with the team, that he can come back and kind of be, I don't want to say humbled, but for lack of better vocabulary right now, I think he can come back, feel more comfortable with where he is, see where the 7 car ran. Not that he did bad with the 9, but I mean, dude, he got a call last second. Hey, look, come put your stuff in the car. We're going to run the car. You know, yes, Chase ran where he did last year, but Chase ran where he did last year, knowing what he was going into with full opportunity to prepare for it. Corey got thrown into a strange situation. The only thing familiar behind it is it's a Chevy Camaro ZL1 with 4 wheels, steering wheel, So he didn't have any opportunity to prepare for it. He brought it home in one piece, which is in itself a win. And, as far as Carson Hocevar in the 7 outperforming the 9, he did for a little bit, but he's still got a lot of learning to do. And I think that's part of the issue with the brake rotor failure. He's not familiar enough with the equipment, overused it. And what happened with that happened with that. He's got a promising future. Hopefully, he sticks around with Spire and helps the company grow a little bit. I know they had a 5-year plan a couple of years ago, and I'm hoping the steps that were taken that weekend are, leading up to eventually that first win, which is right around the corner with Corey in the 7 car.
Yeah.
People say things about Ty Dillon running where he's running in 77, but it's all valuable information. The more cars you got on the track, the more information you've got coming in. You can take that information, put it in whatever computer you want to put it into. It's feedback. Feedback's going to help you grow.
For sure. Yeah. And wanted to get your opinion on something that I've thought about for some time now and haven't particularly compared it to our guy. However, now that Corey was in the 9 car for the weekend, he got all the attention that he did. Do you feel like the future of NASCAR? Do you feel like there's a problem with the drivers that we have out there? And by what I mean is that there's good chance one of those 4 guys that Hendrick's going to win the championship this year. Not going to take that away from him, and they're gonna beat our guy for sure. But it has dawned on me throughout the years that this sport used to be a sport full of just like icons or just men, right? Rusty or Dale or Jeff Gordon or whoever. You had people that people knew that they had like charisma. They were known, right? Nowadays, people kind of, people don't know who all these drivers are. Once Harvick retires and, there's not a whole lot of drivers left. Kyle Busch is still around, but do you feel as though, you see Corey and how much charisma he has, and he oozes, confidence and charisma, and he's funny, and he's a great spokesperson. He's somebody that people could get to know, just like the new Jeff Gordon or whoever else. Obviously you'd have to go and out start killing it on the track. But do you feel as though that the sport with our top guys being Kurt or not Kurt, being the 5 car, being the 24 car, or being Chase Elliott, all these guys are very soft spoken. And don't they're not very loud, and people, there's nothing really to grasp onto. Do you feel as though that's going to hurt the sport in the future?
No, I think the cream's going to rise to the crop as far as personalities go. You got guys like Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain. Not everybody back in the day, back when the legends were around, not everybody had the personalities like a Darrell Waltrip or a Cale Yarborough. A lot of people did their talking on the track. Eventually in time, maybe once they get some experience under their belt and they're more comfortable with where they are, maybe their personalities will come out a little bit. But also, too, the guys that are coming into the sport now are starting out a lot younger than those other guys did.
Yeah.
By the time Rusty and Dale Jarrett, and Dale Earnhardt, by the time they all got to the big leagues, they were already grown-ass men. They had already done some living. They had some life experience under their belts. And, I'll be 45 this year. I'm way more outspoken now. I'm way more personable now than I was when I was a kid, their age. I didn't come out of my shell till, I was probably in my mid 20s, late 20s. So I think that takes part of it too. I don't think it's necessarily lack of personality. I think they're still growing as people, So
Right.
they're still kind of exploring themselves. But with guys like Noah coming around, who's behind the curtain for the next one? Who's the next guy that's going
Right.
to pop up from the truck series, or you know, if anything, it makes me more anxious for the future to see what's going to happen because who knows, man. And if you look at performance wise, years ago Hendrick was the team to be beat. She, Last year Trackhouse just about won the championship.
Right.
So sport's still growing. There's a long way to go, I think. But,
Yeah. Yep. For sure, I would agree. And also, the generational gap of these guys now are coming out and their experience. They might have run races doing your other leagues or dirt racing or whatever, but they're all now like doing not video game but sim racing, and it's just you're getting a different type of people, grow up in the different elements, and just it's interesting. But you don't have a whole lot of tough guys anymore, and definitely a stark contrast between, I mean, I guess every century is different, but even from 10, 15 years ago, the sport looks so different, you know.
well, I
But
think that's part of why people argue who the GOAT is. You got people that are in the Dale Earnhardt senior camp, you got people that are in the Jimmy Johnson camp, and people that are in a Richard Petty camp. It's three different champions, three different eras of racing. You can't judge one against the other. As they put it on Stacking Pennies one time, it's three different fields. It's three
right,
different goats. One's not necessarily better than the other one. They were the champion that they were at the time they needed to be. So
right,
as the sport grows, you're going to get another person like that. It could be Chase Elliott. It could more than likely be Kyle Larson because he can win pretty much anything.
right, right. Well, next up, last on my list before this episode comes out is Sonoma. There wasn't a ton I took away from the race other than, Corey finished 20th, which was a good fight. I was happy to see. I watched his in car the whole race, and man, he was wheeling it. And honestly, he could have finished 15th. It was just a matter of taking care of your car in the long run because they didn't have any stages, not a whole lot of cautions. And Truex ended up winning, and good for him. Man, Sonoma, I felt like it was a good race, stretched out for sure, but I love road courses, man. I've always thought that they were interesting just because of the amount of skill that they have to race the whole race. I mean, it's got to be exhausting. That has to be, that or Darlington has to be the worst for those drivers. So, yeah, well, I brought you on also to watch a video with me. I have back in 2021, the Cup drivers, because of some of the COVID restrictions, they had to fill in some airtime with iRacing. I raced at the Chicago Street Course when it was just kind of dreamt up. It was not an official thing yet, and I believe the course and everything is still the same. I watched a video today on NASCAR.com, and from what they outlined, it looks like it's the same. It's the same as what it was on the iRacing race from 2 years ago. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick, and we'll just check it out, see what it looks like, and we'll talk about what we expect.
While you're doing that, I'll have my ice cold Celsius in
Perfect.
my Corey LaJoie koozie, perfectly sized to keep it ice cold.
Is that all right for you?
That looks perfect.
All right.
Studying the map, so let's take a look at this.
I'm excited to see this race. Man, this track kind of worries me though. Kind of reminds me of the Indy Road course. You know, that turn one where they kept piling into each other last year, man. They got about 6 of those turns here. They're 90-degree turns. So hoping not, man. I hope it's gonna be great.
It's a lot of heavy braking and some long straight.
That's a good thing. The cars are tougher now than they were a few years ago.
Scenario. So this is the track description right here. 2.14 mile course with 12 turns. Essentially no.
Well, the front and the rear are. If you hit the side, then call it a day.
Right. And they're not going to have safety walls. I don't believe they'd have safety walls anyway.
110 miles, pit road, 45 miles per hour. One stop maybe. Fuel window 28 to 32 laps. 2 resets per driver. You don't want to use them right up. And Mike and Clint, a fixed setup. Essentially every driver.
The good thing is when the Indy cars funnel into a corner, they've got open wheels and they're done. And, you know, these guys, the taxi cabs, take a little beating.
All right.
Yeah.
The Windy City 110 ready to get the green flag here on FS1. Real drivers,
that flagman, man, he's beating something.
We're under green.
That was big.
Oh, already. Oh, Anthony Alfredo.
See, in this race, they had, I think each driver had 2 resets. Not going to have resets at the real deal.
Nope. No.
That was big. Right in your lap. You didn't get into him? No, I missed him by probably a foot. But.
Well, they helped you. You were in second place already.
I've only paid attention to iRacing for maybe since 2020, since we kind of had to watch it because there's nothing else going on, and it's impressive how crazy how the graphics and the realism, like even the way that the car is bouncing, you know, off of that street, you know, pretty cool.
You didn't drive down into that parking garage, did you?
Well, I mean, there's something to it because if you look at all the sim stuff the guys are doing now, you know, where would that be if it wasn't for the iRacing series or being around?
That was quick.
We're not going to have enough resets.
Oh no, never enough resets.
Yeah, the steering wheel's about 6 o'clock here.
Riding with Denny Hamlin there in 12th.
We got more carnage. Man, I was always spinning out there in practice, too.
So that's one thing I like about Formula One. When they do their street races, you see all these buildings and just iconic scenery in the background. It's going to be unique. It's going to be different seeing that with stock cars on the track.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to try this again. Me and producer Mark Smith, who, oh, by the way,
see, that's something I think they were missing in Detroit this year with Indy cars and Trans Am cars. It just looked kind of like a commercial industrial area, so you're not going to get the scenery like you're going to get with the Chicago race.
2, 3,
right.
4, 5, and 6 goes around Hutchinson Field. You're back over there down the front straightaway. You're going to see the Buckingham Fountain. Again, this is city streets. And Clint and Mike, maybe you can take us around and show us the different turns. But as Clint said, very bumpy because it's pretty much city streets.
Now, right now, you're looking south. Just
you have a favorite for this race, for the real race?
66.
You can't look past AJ. AJ Allmendinger's got so much experience in kart and whatnot, doing this exact style of racing. Chase, Kyle, they seem like they can adapt to it very quickly. And Austin Cindric, I mean, his family actually owned Ohio, Mid-Ohio for a little while. His uncle or grandfather or whatnot.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
There's like a little access road there.
Yeah, it's a little tidbit about Austin Cindric. I believe it was his grandfather owned Red Roof Inns and sponsored Willie T. Ribs whenever nobody else was willing to. A little 30 degrees of bacon for the Cindric family or whatnot.
My favorite until proven otherwise is gonna be Logano because he's the king at the first, you know. Coliseum or a dirt race, or he seems to always be that guy that rises to the level when needed. So he'll be my choice. That or he'll be the one causing all the wrecks. Either way.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what Corey can do, because after watching yesterday, seeing the in-car stuff, he's a bit trepidatious when he got to racing. There was a few times he could have gotten to the back of people and moved them, but he didn't, which says a lot about the type of person he is. I'm thinking you may have to do a little bit more of that at this race.
Yeah. Corey's a good, road course racer. I mean, he's not out there winning them, but he's, for the amount of experience which he's had before the Cup level, which was none, he's doing pretty well for himself. So keeping up at least.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, his first race at Sonoma, I think he finished 18th in his first race there. Might have been his second race. So he's always run up in that 20 area.
About half the field is
Yeah.
going to finish.
My man Joey's going to get his first top 10.
Don't say it yet. I haven't got through that corner that keeps eating my lunch over here.
I want to see the checkered flag first, exactly.
Hill's coming hard.
No, I'm fine. I got time. We'll get the cushion.
Timmy Hill got Di Benedetto.
What ringers are they bringing in for this race?
Or he got loose.
What?
Something happened.
Road course ringers, like guys, they got. Are they bringing somebody in from Formula One?
They are, yeah. I don't know who he is. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of ringers anymore. Borisset doesn't do it anymore, and all the guys from the '90s and early 2000s, I don't see them anymore. So.
And that says a lot about how the sport's matured too, because if you look at what they used to do back in the day, and back when Dan Gurney was racing, he'd come in at Riverside and clean house.
Right.
I think Borisset taught them all a little bit too well. Max Pappas, I think, did some of that stuff too.
Well, this car is it's a beast. I mean, you got Jimmy Johnson coming in and spinning himself out last week or 2 weeks ago at the 600. I mean, and that's that's one of the best, and he's learning it. So a lot of these guys, even the ringers, people from F1 or whoever, they're still gonna struggle.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't even think about it until just now. But Michael McDowell used to run Trans Am cars, and the Trans Am cars are set up pretty similar. Obviously not exact, but very similar to the way the Cup cars are set up. So he could actually do really, really well here.
Yeah.
Holds on for sixth, retaking it.
I mean, if you look at what he did yesterday at Sonoma, or any road course, and then his oval program's taken off as well.
Derek, man, I appreciate you coming on the Shoe Show and just watching some of the sim race from a couple of years ago and chatting about some NASCAR, man. It's been fun.
It's been a pleasure, man. I've had a blast. Hopefully Corey will see this and know that I still owe him a cheeseburger at Talladega.
All right. But now you're going to have to go to Talladega and, no excuses.
Oh, dude, we already got a hotel set up and everything right off the exit, man. We're 5 minutes from the track.
All right, brother. Well, man, it's been good to talk to you. And until next time, man, God bless.
Same to you. Take care, man.
All right, brother. Derek, once again, thank you so much for coming on the Shoe Show. It means a lot that you, spend, you're getting away from your family and getting away from your job, and you're talking to me and talking to Team SUPERSHOE to just chat about some auto racing. So truly appreciate it, man. Y'all, once again, I thank you so much. Like I said in the beginning of the show, if you can please like, comment, share if you're on YouTube. Share it to other social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter. If you are on the audio realm, please rate and review and let everybody know that you're listening to the Shoe Show. And if you haven't joined us on Facebook, Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook. It's a group on Facebook where this is where everything started in the first place. We have so much more conversation there than we do here. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much for watching. Until next time, man, y'all, God bless, stay safe, and go Corey LaJoie.